need to maintain the air conditioning because the servers will generate a lot of heat, right? So we need to provide some air conditioning system, and then apart from that, we need to provide some networking like physical connectivity and network security, and we need to maintain some firewalls and the firewall configurations, and then we need to maintain one Windows administrator and then one database administrator to manage. So here there are some lot of administrative tasks are there to maintain a server. But if you are choosing the cloud, it can be AWS. I'm talking about the generic cloud. So it includes AWS, it includes Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, and there are a lot of clouds. Okay. So if you are choosing the cloud, no need to invest huge amount to purchase the server. That is the first advantage, because the cloud vendor is going to purchase for us, and no need to worry about the power supply, internet connectivity, and the security, encryption, and the databases and the storage, and everything will be maintained and provided by the cloud vendor. And the basic hardware maintenance will be done by the provider itself. We will never worry about, okay, what will happen if hard drive got crashed. So I will be ready with the new hard drive all the time, so that if something went wrong, then just I can kind of reconnect the new hard drive. No need to worry about all these worries. So everything will be taken care by the administrator, Amazon, a cloud provider itself. And the one more advantage is the servers can be accessible from anywhere across the globe. So you can connect and you can access those servers from anywhere across the globe. There is no limitations like only you have to use those things from this location and you have to connect from this location. But as per your requirement, you can restrict the logins. If you don't want to allow everybody to log in from everywhere, just you can restrict the logins from your office or from your house or from your region, like that. Okay. And the main advantage with that is we need to pay on the basis called pay as you use or pay as you go. For example, I created one server and I used that for 2 hours. So I need to pay for 2 hours only. No need to pay for the entire month or entire quarter or entire year, because there is no commitment. There is no commitment. No need to provide any commitment. For example, if you see the cloud provider called Rackspace, that is a different kind of cloud provider. So in the Rackspace, we need to intimate like minimum 60 days before terminating the contract. So if you would like to turn off the machine, we need to inform 60 days prior the termination date. Then only they can consider. So if I inform now and just in the next 5 minutes, if you would like to delete, that will not be possible in the Rackspace cloud provider. But these cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, if you don't want the server, within few seconds you can log in and you can terminate the server, and the billing will be stopped instantly. No need to pay anything. So that is nothing but no commitment, and there is no way to pay advance amount, which we call as upfront. For example, if you are planning to run for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, so no need to pay any upfront charges. So no need to pay like $500 as an advance payment or $1,000 as an advance payment. So you can pay only after completion of the month. At every month, by first of the every month, you will receive an usage list and the charges for your usage. We need to pay for that only. So that is the reason everybody is migrating to the cloud. So there are 3 popular cloud providers. One is AWS, and the second is Microsoft Azure, and the third is Google Cloud. Okay, so AWS itself captured the market of approximately 50%, and the Azure is like approximately 20%, and the Google Cloud is like about 12% or so. Approximately there is like 10%. So 80% of the market was captured by these 3 vendors only: AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. And the remaining was occupied by the small cloud providers. Okay. So coming to the AWS, they were officially launched in 2006. Officially, They launched in 2006 with a simple services called simple storage service. So later on they implemented and they introduced the new services every year. They will conduct a conference called Reinvent every year. In October or November, between October to November, they will conduct a conference and they will announce new services every year. They will announce a new services and new locations where they are planning to create the data centers. Every year they are increasing their infrastructure, and every year they are increasing the number of services, the new services. Okay, so that is the reason nowadays most of the people are choosing AWS instead of Azure and Google Cloud. And I'm not saying that no one is using Azure and Google Cloud, but majority people are using AWS. Because the main advantage with the AWS is they are in the market since so long. So approximately like from last 13 years, they are in the market. So that was a big advantage with the AWS. And the one more advantage with the AWS is if you compare the number of services available on these three platforms, AWS has more and more number of services when comparatively with the Azure and Google Cloud. So like a machine learning, a robotics, artificial intelligence. So all these services are available on AWS, but not on Azure. Okay. So most of the all advanced services are available on AWS. Okay. Right. So now what we are going to create or what we are going to learn in the entire AWS sessions. So let me share the course content. Let me open the course content and let me show you. Let me explain you in brief about each and every topic. Like, so what we are going to achieve with the particular service and what we are going to learn by end of the sessions. So just we will look about a brief introduction about all the things. Okay. So these are the topics we are going to cover. Okay. So first we will start with some introduction about the cloud computing, like what is cloud computing and like what we are going to achieve and what are the different types of cloud computings, because we have different types of cloud, like platform as a service, software as a service, and infrastructure as a service. We have a different types of cloud types. So we will discuss about each and everything. And for example, if you are planning for a certification, so what things we need and what will be the exam blueprint, like what is the examination pattern, like how many hours the exam and how many questions you will get and how the questions will be. So everything we will discuss in the first session. And we will discuss about like the introduction about the AWS also, like how their global infrastructure looks like. So what are the major components they have, where they are going to maintain the entire hardware, like their data centers. And they are offering us a free tier account. They are offering a free tier account. So what we can get with the help of free tier account and how to create that free tier account and what services are free and what services are partially free. So everything we will discuss in that particular free tier account concept. Okay. So once we are done with the creating the free tier account, so then we will discuss about like how can we secure our newly created account. Like we can enable multi-factor authentication, like by using the Google Authenticator mobile application, we can configure and we can enable multi-factor authentication. And then we can apply some password policies, like we can create a password policy, like the password should be minimum 11 characters or 15 characters, and the password should contain like uppercase, lowercase, all these requirements just we can include in the policy and we can publish the policy. Okay. So once we are done with the basic things, then we will move into actual services. So the first basic service will be identity access management. So where you can create the users, where you can create the groups, where we can create the roles, policies, and we can provide some security permissions to the individual users. Like by default, no user will have administrative privileges, right? So you can provide some administrative permissions on as individual services, or we can make the users as like entire administration. So we will discuss in depth about the users and their permissions and the groups and the different types of access, different access types of the users. Because there are two types of accesses for the users, like console access and the programmatic access. Like one is using the graphical interface like browser, and one is using commands. We will see how to use them and how to assign those types and how to modify the access types. So everything we will discuss in the identity access management. Once we are done with the identity access management, we will continue with storage services. So there is a storage option called simple storage service, where you can store your files, folders, images, movies, everything we can save. Okay, everything we can upload into simple storage service. We can call that as S3 bucket. There are different types of storage classes, like standard class, standard or glacier, infrequently accessed data, and infrequently accessed one zone data. So they have different types of classes. We will discuss about each and every class and when we need to use which type of class, and so everything related to storage, which is simple storage, just we can discuss, like including the version controlling, encryption, lifecycle management, and hosting a static website on the S3 bucket. So all this we are going to cover in simple storage service. And then we have a topic called a simple topic, which is CloudFront. So that is like a content delivery network. Like we can if you are hosting a website, and so how should we make that website to be loaded faster for the people who are located in far away from the website? That is like content delivery network, or we can say uh, caching point, creating caching point, edge locations. So then just Elastic Compute Cloud, which is like servers for our usage. We can create Windows servers, we can create Linux servers. As part of EC2 discussion, we will discuss about different family types of EC2 and different hosting types and different terminologies like security groups, IP address like public IP, private IP, elastic IP, and security groups. So all the things we are going to cover. Like if you see, these are the topics we are going to cover in the EC2. Like we will create both Windows and Linux EC2 instances, and we can see how to log into those machines. So how can we log in, and just how can we what we call that, how can we connect, and how can we work, and how can we install whatever we need. So everything we will discuss in this particular EC2. So while creating the EC2 instances, we need to use AMI, Amazon Machine Images, provided by Amazon. But we can create our own AMI also. We will see how can we create our own images. And then we have another type of storage called Elastic Block Storage. So this is a block-based storage type where you can install operating system, and you can install softwares, you can install any type of tools. So we will see different types of EBS volumes and their advantages, their limitations, and how can we upgrade the EBS volumes, and how can we do volume management, like increasing the volume size, like from 10 GB to 20 GB or 1 TB to 5 TB. So how can we do that without losing the data? So all these things will be covered in this Elastic Block Storage. And then Elastic File System. This is nothing but like a file sharing service. We can say like a file server. There is like a centralized location where you can store the data and you can share with everyone or every computer in the AWS network. And then the load balancer. The load balancer, I think you may know about the load balancer. I think you may heard about the wording called load balancer. So the load balancer is like distributing the load across multiple servers. Like instead of having a single server, we can have multiple servers, and we can okay. So there are different types of load balancers, and the network load balancer, application load balancer, and classic load balancer. So we can see how to configure those type of load balancers, and how can we distribute the traffic. Just we can create the website and we can check practically. So whatever the topics we are going to cover, so all the topics will be covered through practical, not only through the theoretical. So anything like EC2. So once we discuss about the theoretical part of the EC2, just we will do some hands-on work like creating the EC2 and like Windows, Linux, accessing those Windows and Linux. So everything we will do practically. So now, then once we are done with the load balancer, the next option will be auto scaling. Like for example, assume that you are running an online store and generally there are like 50 users or 20 users per day are visiting your website, and on special occasions like Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Eve or anytime, just you are expecting more number of users like 1,000 and 2,000. Okay, so only for 2 days or 3 days we cannot run a huge server for all the days, like for the entire year or the entire month, right? So what we can do is I can configure an auto scale. So whenever there is a huge load like more than 90% CPU utilization or more than this much CPU utilization, just that auto scaling will create a new server to reduce the load on a single machine. Okay, in that way, just we can use auto scaling. So based on our requirement, the new servers will be created automatically, and whenever there is no requirement, then the new servers will be deleted automatically and the required number of servers will be maintained. Okay, so in this process we need to create some auto scaling policies. I mean, when it should be create a new server and when it should be delete the existing server, and so with what configuration it should be deployed. So everything we need to configure and create it in the auto scale. So then the very important thing, virtual private cloud. So the entire AWS will work on this VPC only. The VPC is nothing but like a virtual data center where we can create our servers, services, everything will be located in this virtual private cloud only. So by default we will have a VPC, but we need to create our own customized VPC based on our requirement, like public subnets, private subnets. Okay, for example, there might be few servers which will be public facing and few servers will not be public facing. Like you are running a website. Okay, so the web server should be public facing, and the web server, I mean the database which is supported for the web server, the website should not be publicly accessible, right? So for those web databases, we should maintain in the private subnets. So in the customized VPC, we can create the public subnets and private subnets. And so that's like a huge topic. It will take like 2 days or 3 days to complete the entire VPC. That cannot be completed in one session. So because we have so many topics like what is internet gateway and what are the route tables, how to add the route tables, and what will happen if you modify route tables, and what is a NAT instance, NAT gateway, access control list. Those are like security things, and VPC peering and VPC flow logs, and what is meant by Bastion station. So everything we are going to discuss in the VPC, and once we create the VPC, then we can create again the EC2 instances on the newly created VPC, and we will check whether everything is working as expected or not. Means like what are the machines we launch in the public subnet should be accessible from outside, and the private machines, I mean the EC2 instances launched in the private subnet should not be accessible. Okay, so those things we should check once we have created our VPC. And after that, we need to discuss about the databases. In the databases, there are two types. One is relational databases and one is NoSQL databases. In the relational databases, we are going to cover like 6 databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, Amazon Aurora, and MariaDB. These are the 6 relational database engines supported by Amazon. So here we will see like how to create these relational database services and how to create some read replicas, multi-AZ deployment, that is for like a disaster recovery purpose, and how can we configure some automated backups, and how can we take some backups manually, and how can we promote the read replicas to a standalone database servers. So all the things we are going to cover in the relational databases. And for the NoSQL databases, there is one database called DynamoDB. Okay, so there is the only one NoSQL database supported by Amazon. So we will see that like what are the differences between the RDS and DynamoDB, and just we will create some basic database tables in the DynamoDB, and we will see like how to take the backup and how to restore, how can we create the snapshots, everything we will see in the DynamoDB. And then the Redshift is like a data warehousing tool. So that will be very much useful for a data analyst. If you would like to analyze some data from the database, then we need to use the Redshift tool. And then the Elastic Cache, which is a database caching service. And once we are done with the relational databases and the database section, we will talk about Route 53. Route 53 is nothing but like a DNS service. Like if you go for GoDaddy or Namecheap, they are providing you a DNS service, right? So here also Route 53 is the same as like a DNS. So you can purchase your own domain, or you can maintain one domain and just you can create all the records. There are different types of policies out there, routing policies. So we are going to cover each and every routing policy, like how it works and how to configure. So everything we will discuss in the Route 53. So then we will move on to CloudWatch. CloudWatch is a monitoring tool. So where we can monitor everything, like you can monitor EC2 instances, like what is the CPU utilization, and what is the RAM memory utilization, and what is the hard disk utilization. So everything we can monitor, and we can create some alerts also. So that, for example, if I create an alert that just send me an email whenever the CPU utilization is going more than 90%. So that this CloudWatch triggers an alarm and it will send an alert to my email address. Okay, and the alerts can be configured for anything. Like you can configure the alerts for billing also. For example, if the estimated charges will be like $5, then you would be notified. So that whenever the estimated charges are going more than $5, you will be receive an email, an alert email. So that you will check and you will delete all the unwanted servers and unused services to reduce the billing. And then the application services like SQS, simple queue service. So that like simple queue service will be like a queue service to execute all the jobs. And simple workflow, like that is these are like a simple topics. Like simple workflow is to maintain the workflow, like so what tasks to be complete after what tasks, like it will maintain the sequential task list. And SNS is like to send the notification jobs. We will use SNS. And apart from that, we have SES, simple email service, where we can configure our own SMTP server to send any emails. And apart from that, just we have Elastic Transcoder, which is like conversion tool. Like you can convert the media files from one format to another format, like MP3 to like MOV to MP3 or MP4 to MP3. Just you can use any type of conversion there. So based on the file you converted, or based on the time, how much time the file size is, based on these things you will be charged. And apart from that, the automation thing. So in the AWS, but this automation part is not for AWS architects, that is for DevOps things. But sometimes it is better to know about the advanced topics or trending topics. So that's why we included the CloudFormation and Elastic Beanstalk. So where you can create everything automated, like you can create the WordPress blog. The CloudFormation can take care of creating the entire infrastructure to run your WordPress blog. Or with the help of Elastic Beanstalk, you can deploy your Tomcat application without creating a Tomcat service and without worrying about the platform. So we can say that the Elastic Beanstalk is like a platform as a service, and the CloudFormation is like a infrastructure as a code. Okay. So once we are done with that things, then we can have some introduction about the Lambda and Elastic Container Service and a few advanced topics. And then just we will have a session on like discussing about the sample questions. I cannot say the dumps. There should be like a sample question, like how the questions will be, and so how can we analyze the questions. So basically the question, each question will be like 5 to 6 lines. So how can we simplify the question and wait how to break that one single question into multiple smaller questions, and how can we analyze if you don't know the answer, so how can we eliminate the wrong answers and how can we choose the correct answers. So we will discuss about all the sample questions and the exam pattern in one session. And anyways, we will share the sample questions across you guys, so that just you can have your own you can check by your own, like whenever you are free, just you can go through the questions and just you can try to answer that. And at the end of the page, just you can have all the answers for the questions. That's a different thing. So that should be at the end of the sessions, because in the starting itself you cannot handle those questions. I mean, without knowing much we cannot go for certification and analyzing ourselves, right? So anyways, so these are the topics we are going to cover in the entire session, and the total session would be like 25 hours. Sometimes it may extend it by 1 or 2 hours, because few topics, like for the VPC, there is a mandatory topic called IP address. You must know IP address to create your own customized VPC. I mean, without knowing that also we can create, but that will be a little bit confused. So we should have some one additional session on IP addressing. So like this, we may extend it by like 1 or 2 hours additional timing. So we can say like 25 to 27 hours, we can complete all these topics along with the theory and practical. So this is about the course content which we are going to cover.